Namo Tassa. Just a short video this time in relation to the quote I just posted online, again on one major topic, which is about the science. And I just posted that basically the true science that reveals the ultimate truth works the opposite way of regular science, not through thinking and reflecting, but through total let go. And that's the most difficult for humans, and why scientists are still looking. So I have made a few videos already before, or audios, exactly about what I think around science, scientists, scientific world, and where they are at, and what they think they know, but they don't. And the biggest problem, of course, is the scientific ego, as usual. The ego is the biggest problem. And of course, they think they know already so much, while they actually don't know so much. And you could say, on the other hand, it's about the methodology, which is also a big word in science, supposedly, and how they credit themselves or each other. But that is just to say again that why science doesn't know much about real life, existence, phenomena, as we use this word in Buddhism as one of the most ultimate, compared to one of the main quotes of the Buddha, and which is the point of practicing deep meditation and to reach enlightenment, which is what will give you exactly the real insight into the ultimate truth of existence, life, and exactly any phenomena. And there is the issue, and why science is not even close to getting there, no matter how much technology improves or knowledge improves, is exactly again because of the mindset, as usual, and that ego. And the mindset is very primitive for most scientists still, no matter which level, of course, as I've said before, because they still operate the same way. It's just basic intellectual entertainment, basically. And it's all through thinking and then supposedly reflecting. So some are called kind of genius just because exactly they have that little extra capacities to think outside the box, and they actually can somewhat imagine different concepts than the statu quo. But again, the scientific community is still very much closed-minded that way. It's always a very, very big deal to try to confront some established truth, even though they will all say that that's the point of science, is to have an open mind and to always question things and move forward. But actually, in reality, especially when you start to touch on some super famous names that got their reputation or legacy established, then it's suddenly a very big deal to try to question the work of that person or the results or conclusions. But anyway, it's always back to the same. It's very childish and immature mindset, ego-based, and thinking that they know and thinking that the way they operate is correct, but it's not. Because, again, as I've mentioned before, it's still just basic intellectualization of things, and it's just a very basic, barely evolved animal level of they basically believe as they only know what they see. And if they cannot see it, basically nowadays, of course, it's not only the basic seeing as it was before, because they have invented new technologies that they think are so advanced, and so they can measure things. So it's not seeing the phenomena itself, or observing with naked eyes, but it's basically observing the measurements of their technology that the technology gives them through different ways, of course. Now everything computer. One new thing, I'm not going too much into that actually now, but nowadays, of course, they talk a lot about AI, of course, and it's again a typical thing of modern days. That's exactly from that quite arrogant newer generation of these kind of guys who are not necessarily scientists, but engineers, coders, all the software geeks. But it's a big scam again, just for the sake of marketing, when you can see, of course, the insane amount of money that they manage to raise to fund their own startups or whatever. So that's all about marketing, and AI has not much to do with intelligence at all, of course. It cannot be intelligent anyway because it's a machine, and I've mentioned before what I mean about the meaning of intelligence. But this is just, of course, as a typical evolution after so many years, decades of computer science. Of course, they had to come another bigger step, and this is maybe a little bit of just the next stage, but it's just the next stage in computer science. At the same time as also many of them like to mention the quantum science now. But again, the same, they don't have the brain to actually fathom exactly quantum level things. So it's just happening through machines and technologies. And so AI is just a next step of more performing computer science. And that's all there is. But it's a big scam, big marketing scam to call it like the next big thing. And like the next big revolution. Is not. Even though there are definitely some big dangers because of what they let AI do in the way of self-evolution or self-learning. Of course, there are big risks with that, exactly to hand over too much control into machines and computers. But there is not that consciousness that they pretend to be there anyway. And so again, there was another quote that I posted that is famous. I forgot from who said that unfortunately the science and technology has evolved quicker than society has become wiser. So that's why all those new generation geeks with big egos and very full of themselves, they think so high of themselves, and they like to go totally free into their research or science and development of their own technology that way with computer and AI. But the problem is that again, it's like you give very, very advanced, potentially dangerous tools to kids actually. So anyway, future will tell. But again, so this what I meant with the scientific world in general, and why anyway it's not going to go anywhere to the ultimate as they are still aiming, is exactly because everything remains in that intellect, in the thinking, observing with eyes, basic primitive way, and thinking and reflecting from that, and then try to decide what next step to take, what next experiment, what would be the smart experiment to create to find out this or that, or the next new technology. And this is just an endless well, basically, bottomless well, but it never gets you there. So on the other hand, of course, and as meditation is all about, as the ultimate practice as a human being, to reach the ultimate state and awareness around existence and life, it's all about letting go. And I could leave it just at that, because again, there's not much to say. Just like when people ask to explain about enlightenment, there's not much to say in words, because it's beyond that. It's beyond the intellect. It's exactly when you have managed to totally let go of everything, and yourself and your mind and your ego, and it's beyond that. So the total let go, of course, as such, sounds like an impossible, inconceivable task for a scientific mind. So that's why it's kind of the opposite. And again, it sounds like counterintuitive, and just like many things in life, because exactly that life existence is about duality, then there are so many paradoxes. So one way to understand life actually is to understand that notion of paradoxes, and that life is very paradoxical. And that's what happens most of the time, or why things happen. And that's why it's hard to understand some things, because it's full of paradoxes. But once it becomes clear, because you know the ultimate and the very simple way of things, then you can understand easier the complicated aspect of life and why it's like this, or it looks like this. But back to the same, why science and scientists won't get really, really far, or to the end of the search of the ultimate knowledge about life, existence, or matter, is because they are still operating at the animal level of using their basic brain capacities of thinking, reflecting, intellectualizing from only still with the eyes what this world shows them, not the ultimate reality, only the apparent reality. So they stay at the apparent level, the surface level, and they will never be able to understand the deeper meaning of things and the deeper reality, as long as they won't be able to manage to let go of everything. So meditate, concentrate deeply, and let go of everything. And as it has been said, that's when all the answers come to you. Then everything will come the simple way. You will actually open your mind totally, by totally letting go, so that things come to you. And you don't search for them, you don't seek them, you don't provoke situation to try to get the information. And that's the way it works. And that's exactly what wisdom is about too, is to be able to have that wise approach to your search on the path.